So now that we've got our video imported, this video is going to go over some of the common issues that we'll need to solve before we can get working in Tracker. So here I've imported a clip of a baseball game. We're going to see Juan Soto hitting the ball here. And the first thing that you notice is I've imported this from YouTube, and when I watched it on YouTube, it was running at regular speed, but now that I've imported it into Tracker, it seems to be running very slow. And this part of the video was originally in slow motion too, but it's extra slow. And the thing you can see here is when I go to the video menu, there's a smooth play option. That is checked by default. If I uncheck it and try playing it again, you'll see it plays at normal speed. Then here's the slow motion part, which does show in slow motion as we expect. So if you like to see the video play at its natural speed, you can turn off that smooth play option. Although if you leave it on, it won't really cause any problems, as it does remove some of the jerkiness from the video potentially. So once you've got that, the next thing we want to do is take a look at our video. We want to see, we've got a lot of footage here, but we're not going to use all of it for our analysis. So what I want to use for this example is this part right here, the slow motion side view. So this is a nice part of the video because the camera is remaining stationary, and we can see the swing in detail. We can actually see the baseball coming in and do some analysis of that. We could find, say, the velocity, the kinetic energy, the change in momentum of the baseball itself. We can look at the rotational speed of the swing, all these kinds of things that we can get in the side view that are kind of harder to do in the straight on or the angle view. So one thing we want to do is trim this video so we only have the clip of interest. So we can use these black triangles at the bottom of the seek bar that you see right there, and we can just sort of drag them over to where we want them, and it'll take a few tries, but you can eventually get the video sort of clipped so that the other footage is out of the way, and we've just got that slow motion section that we want. So I'll just adjust these bars a couple of times until we've got it. And once that's ready, it'll be nice because we don't have to worry about looking at other stuff. And every time that we press the back button, it'll go right back to the point where we want to start. And so the goal here is to find just the part of the video we want to analyze. For reasons I'll discuss in a little bit, we want to avoid a lot of camera motion because that will move our coordinate axis around. Camera motion can also kind of distort the length scale as we zoom in and out. So we want a nice stable camera. It's okay if there's a little bit of camera movement, but we want to minimize that as much as possible when we're doing a tracker analysis. So this little section of the video here, you can see the video. The camera is nice and stable, so this is a good one to work with. So once we've got that set, the first thing we want to do is set up our coordinate axes. And I get this question a lot of where to put the coordinate axes, and it really doesn't matter as long as we have a consistent, well-defined point. So I'm going to put that on the corner of home plate here. And one thing you notice immediately when we set up the coordinate axes is actually the camera was moving a little bit more than I realized. And you can see that purple crosshairs kind of moves across home plate. So after looking at that, I want to trim the video even a little bit more and try and get it so that my coordinate axes stay relatively stable in the same physical place in the video. You can see there's a little bit of drift, a little bit of motion. That's okay as the camera moves. I might even want to clip a little bit of the end of that away so we don't have to worry about it. So once your coordinate axis is in, you've clicked that Show Coordinate Axis button. Review your video to make sure that it stays relatively stable. Again, a little bit of movement is fine, but we want it to stay pretty much where we put it. Once we've done that, we can go up to the bar on the top. And in these menus, we can make a couple of adjustments just for convenience. If we click on the axis button, we have a visible and locked option. So I like to turn on locked so I don't accidentally move things, and then turn off visible because we really don't need to look at that anymore once we've set it up. So now the axes are out of the way. The next thing we want to worry about is getting our length scale defined using a measuring tool, using a calibration stick. So this is another thing that will require maybe a little bit of creativity and some thought, is how do we get a length calibration for our video? So every video is going to have a slightly different solution, a different answer, but you can go ahead and click on Add Calibration Stick. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color here to green so we can see it against the dark background a bit more easily. And so every video will have a different calibration. One option would be to use the home plate. That's a standardized distance, but home plate is a little bit small in this video, and it's really kind of hard to see exactly how long I should call it because it's at an angle, right? So I'm getting kind of the corner of the front of home plate down to the bottom corner. Another option is to use Juan Soto himself, since his height is known. So you can go to a lot of different websites and find the heights of professional athletes. So 188 centimeters right there. And we could use him as the length reference. The problem is he's not standing up completely straight. So it's not the most accurate. We could use that in a pinch. We could set the measuring stick from the bottom of his heel to the top of his head, set that to his height, 1.88 centimeters. And that would be, or 1.88 meters, and that would be good. However, there's a slightly better option here that I found. And again, this is going to be kind of the part where you're going to have to do some work particular to what you're analyzing. And so the baseball bat, remains exactly the same length the whole time. It's not going to change length here, and we can measure it very easily when it's horizontal. So, some of this information is also available, what kind of gear different athletes use, so we can figure out that Juan Soto likes to use a 34-inch baseball bat, Old Hickory AJ25, according to this website. That seems reliable enough. I searched in a couple of places. 34 inches is one of the standard baseball bat sizes. You can actually find this as a real bat. Then we can convert 34 inches into meters, and take 34 inches, convert it into meters, and just plug that into our length scale. That comes out to be about 0.86 meters. So I'll go back to the video. I'll type that into my length for my calibration stick, and I will drag this calibration stick and position it exactly over the baseball bat. I want to 34 inches is the length of the baseball bat in its entirety, so I want that calibration stick to cover the entirety of the baseball bat. And you'll notice that once I let the video play, that calibration stick, of course, will stay in place, and that's fine. It's just going to refer to that reference. I can do the same thing here. I can click on the calibration stick on the top and lock it, and then make it invisible, because once we've got that ready, we don't need to worry about it anymore. We've got our length scale set. So these are the first few things that we'll do in our video, is set the coordinate axis and the calibration stick. And this is going to get you started with your tracker analysis.